Alright guys, so got all 4 shocks built, 2 front, 2 rear, all bled, springs on, ready to go. I'm not going to bore y'all with building all 4 of them like I did with the last car build. Makes for really long videos. So we're moving along to bag B now, the next step in the book. So we're going to build a front and a rear diff, and am I building? Yeah, and a center diff in this one. So we're going to start off with B1 and B2. B3 will be the center. We'll do that one last. Start off with B1. As you open it up, there's more baggies inside. A couple of baggies. Give HP one thing, they do a good job of separating their baggies out and making everything easy to find. Looks like they already got the roller bearings on the diff and the gear, so not like that's a hard step, but they've already done it for me. Go ahead and cut this bags, all the bags open, so we got everything here on the table to work with. Y'all let me know in the comments if this stuff is too long, doing all this unbagging and stuff, because it wouldn't be too hard just to skip this part and have everything on the table, show y'all what's there. But some people like to watch the full unboxing, I think. So I'm using my Cricut pick just to get everything out of these bags, because some stuff don't want to slide out. Alright, so one diff, got all my pieces parts out here. Separate all my spacers and washers out here, that way I don't have nothing stuck together, and I know what I got. 4 small washers, like 2 larger washers, and a large thin washer, 2 large inner gears, 4 small inner gears, 2 red O-rings, 2 pins, 4 screws, 2 gear sticks, and 2 out drives. Alright, so we're going to take our cup, and they don't tell you in the instruction manual, but my past experience with the out drives, you want to put you just a little bit of grease on these bad boys. These don't have a grease slot on them like a lot of the other brands do. Just a little bit of black lube on there. Or if you have some white anti-wear grease, it works good too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cup, we'll slide it through. Of course, make sure your bearing's in place. We'll see it stick through the outside. So we're going to take red O-ring. Here we're going to take my pick and I'm going to get it over to the center. Like that. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to push it down on there. And then I'm going to put one of the larger washers down over it. Now I've got the washer over the pick. Washer over the O-ring. I'm gonna use my pick to kind of tap it down into place, nice and smooth, going around in a circle, not denting the washer. And look at my normal needle nose in here. I'll use my pocket pliers, my pocket needle nose. So then we've got one of our little tiny metal pins that has to go inside the diff, and I got to get it in the hole in the cup. So I'm going to turn the hole till it lines up with one of the square slots. There's 4 square slots, and they'll give you the space to get that pin in there. It should. It's kind of hard to see. I'm doing this at night, so I don't have any natural light coming in the window to help. Get to the very tip of the pliers. I think I got it started. Now I just got to push it through. Yep. Alright, once you get it in there, get it centered as much as possible. When you get it together, it's going to look like that. Little bars centered in there as much as possible. I'm going to take one of your larger inner gears here. You're going to put it down in there. Hold your finger on top of it and then turn the drive until you feel it snap into place. Now it popped in. So now you've got a gear. Should be flush with the out drive. Right. Now on the other side, they're telling me they want this thin washer right here to go against the bearing. Which I don't know why they're telling me to put that on there now, because it's larger than the cup. So that's larger than the cup. But the directions clearly show that they want this washer there. So I'm going to set these washers aside as I build it, and then when I put the diff in the diff case, or after I get done building the diff, I'll just throw it in here. That way when it goes in the diff case, it's there and I won't lose it. Alright, there again. O-ring goes on, like so. This one's easier to push it down by hand before you put the washer on. We got our large washer light up. And then we got our cross pin that will go in there. Let's see if I can do it without pliers with this one. Yep. Alright. It's crossed in there, nice and centered. And you're going to take your large gear, turn it, put it into place. There again. Gear should be flush. Just like so. Alright. Now to put the insides together. to take these crossbars, I'm going to put a small gear and then the small washer right behind it. They don't run away. Please don't lose one. I don't think I got any spares. Alright, just like that. And push it on just enough to where I can hold it, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Small gear, small washer. Alright, now I'm going to take my cup, and I'm going to drop this in where the square slot is. Push it down till the gears are in place. And the flat spot in the middle of that bar is facing up like so. Camera's not really showing it good. There you go. Flat spot's facing up. So now we're going to do it with the other crossbar. Won't lose it. Got it. Yay! Alright. Small gear washer. Small gear washer. We're going to turn it to where the flat spot's facing down. Then we're going to drop it in the square sections. Get it in there, should look like that. The crossbars should mesh together. Let me get in the middle of the camera so it'll focus in. There you go. They'll mesh together like that. Alright, so now we will put fluid in it. So the front and the rear, we're going to get the 10,000 CS. Make sure you pay attention to the bottles because there's two bottles in here. One says 10,000, one says 100,000. If you put 100,000 in these front and rear diffs, you're going to be wondering what's wrong with your car. And the same thing if you put the 10,000 in the middle one, it's going to act funny. Okay, so we're going to put fluid in. It tells you to check the setup sheet on how to do it, but stick with me, kid, I'll teach you something. We're going to slowly put the fluid in. Okay. I filled it to the top edge of the gears, but it hasn't settled into the holes on the outside yet. So I'll tap it down. And let that sit for a minute. I'm going to take this blue washer here while it's doing that. I'm going to put it on here. Line the screw holes up. Use my pick. Push gasket down in there with the screw holes lined up, like so. Check my fluid. So I'm going to add just a little bit more because I can still see the crossbar poking out of the fluid a little bit. So what you're going to do is you're going to slowly add some more. You just want that fluid to barely cover the crossbars, just where you can't see a sheen of a hump where the crossbars are. Yep. So that's nice, shiny across, no cross. All right, that is a full diff. Yep, looks good. All right, now we're going to take this. We're going to try to line our screw holes up and put the halves together. Tiny adjustment and line them up there. Those are going to be 1.5s also. Yes, they're 1.5s. Well, 16.5 minutes into this video just with this. So next thing I'll do is I'll do the center diff, because the other diff, whether it's the front or the rear, it's going to have the same fluid in it, and it's going to be exactly the same as this one. I'm not going to bore y'all with doing two of these things like I did with the shocks. So we'll do the center diff next. We'll get that knocked out. Center diff goes together just like these two. Pretty much the gear just looks different, and it's got the thicker fluid in it. And you'll load it up the same way as these when you put the fluid in. If you put too much fluid in them, what will happen is when they heat up, they'll start pushing fluid out. You don't want that as so much. That little bit of air that's in there, what will happen is as the fluid expands, it'll just pressurize the air. Air can be pressurized, the fluid can't really be pressurized. Anybody who's messed with hydraulics knows how much of a pain in the butt it is if there's air in the system, because it will cause the hydraulics not to work properly. You can compress air, but you can't compress fluid. Alright. Get my wrench back. Go through. I'm just going to check, make sure everything's all nice and tight after putting all the screws in. Go back over every single one. Bam, just like that. Alright, grab the ends, make sure everything feels all nice and smooth. No binding, no crunching. It's also a good reason to work on a clean surface. Don't work on a dirty workbench. If you have a dirty workbench, put something clean down over top of it, do your work. Let's go on to the center diff, and I'm going to knock this one out fairly quick. It'll take me about as long to get the bags open as it's going to be able to build it. Show y'all how I normally roll when I'm not doing videos, taking my time. Remember, guys, you do a couple of these and you learn how to get through them a little bit faster. I don't have to hold stuff up to the camera every 2 seconds, and I can just go right on through it. I know I'm not rushing. This is normally how I build a diff. You want to see me move fast, you have to catch it when I'm in a rush with something not right at a race. You haven't seen a shock or a diff get rebuilt until you're in between races and you're trying to get her done. Find the hole, line it up into the square piece, get down in there, try to get it started. This is the worst part about the tent scale diffs, is trying to get these things in there because they're so small and so tight. If you got a little tiny pair of needle nose, they work better. And then bring my little tiny needle nose into my toolbox there, sitting on my workbench outside in the trailer. Alright, looks like I got started. Take a pin, push it in, I think. Yep. Push it in and it doesn't seem like it wants to go all the way through, like it stops. Check again and make sure that washer is all the way down, because a lot of times that washer don't want to go all the way down. I don't think my pen was square. Nope, slid over. Back into place, like that. Try that again without leaning it over. There we go. Now it's in place. Alright. Knocking them out, knocking them out. My goal is to get this diff built in the next 6 minutes or most of the way. If the video stops, I'll show you all 3 diffs completed. And so we already did one, so the other 2 are pretty much the same. The gears just look a little different on the center one. Oh, lost the washer in there. Come out. I'm tired and my fingers ain't working right. There we go. First one in. second one. Flat facing down. Line it up. Drop it in. Both washers are still in there. Push down together like so. Get my gasket ready to go on. I want my 100,000. 100,000. Do it just like the other ones. This stuff's like chewing gum when it comes out, so it's going to require a little bit more to settle it. I'll work it in between the gears a little bit more with the other. Work my gear back and forth, help it lightly so they don't pop out. Alright, same thing, nice and even just over the crossbars. Let that settle for a second. Put the gasket on this side, like that. Holes are lined up. Line the holes up here. Look through, make sure the holes are lined up all the way through. Just like so. Screw through the gear into the housing. Look at that, we've got 2.5 minutes left to go. Can I get these screws in before then? And the same thing with this one, it's got one of those little tiny washers on there that's supposed to go right here. So we'll make sure we keep those aside where we know where they're at. And we'll put those on when we mount the diffs into the car. You have to have some kind of reason for it. It's just odd that they're telling me to put it on here and they don't have it later on where you can slide it over the cups, because it's definitely bigger than the cup. Alright, 1.5 minutes. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'll probably wrap the diffs up tonight, and then that'll be it for me on the build tonight. And then next time y'all see me, I'll probably be wearing different clothes. If I can get back to this weekend, tonight, Saturday night. If I can get to it tomorrow, I'll be wearing different clothes. If I get to it Monday afternoon, then probably wearing a uniform again from work. Alright, all 4 set into place. Just like that. That's the center diff. Spin it, make sure there's no clicks, pops, or anything abnormal. This one, definitely tell it's got thicker fluid in it. It's a little bit stiffer. But anyhow, that's it. And that's what the front and rear diffs are going to look like. They're going to be identical. So, there again, guys. There's our center diffs. Next bag we're going to be working on is bag C. Next time you see me, all 3 of these are going to be done, and then we'll get started with the next thing. Alright, later.